here in the US, I'd be remiss not to ask you about your views of Silicon Valley Bank, the FDIC stepping in, Signature Bank. There are some similarities with 2008. What do you make of it, and what are you hearing? I mean, it's early days yet, but curious to get your perspective on how that's.
I'm not an economist, right? So first of all, I'm not going to second guess someone like Janet Yellen. There are a lot of people on Wall Street that are good at that. That's not me. I think an interesting point broadly is that in a higher interest rate environment where a lot of big investors are worried about risk, this is not the first thing we've seen. We saw challenges. You remember when Liz Truss was prime minister for those glorious couple of weeks.
Right.
She was hammered by the markets that were taking a risk-off position, said, no, we're just not going to let you start putting all this money on the table and not have it funded. A lot of emerging market debt, same thing. So for me, this risk for Silicon Valley Bank and maybe some of the regional banks too is part of that broader structural play that just the world is a lot riskier. People are looking for quality and safety. They're looking for the dollar. They're looking for, strategic banks that actually play with Dodd-Frank. They're worried about other stuff. And frankly, a Silicon Valley bank, it looks a lot more like Liz Truss and some EM debt that's dollarized and that doesn't have, sort of great governance behind it than it looks like, your big JP Morgans out there. And I think that's a big piece of why we saw this.